You're like a grumpy old man in a chair, just moaning.
You just worked that out. That's because I am a grumpy old man in a chair.
Oh, yeah.
There's no like about it.
Good point.
The Tyre Kickers, classic car chat with Max and Matt.
Welcome back to the Tyre Kickers. We've been on holiday.
Not together, by the way.
But we're back, tanned and ready to talk cars.
The Tyre Kickers.
In this episode, we look at poptastic classics, which cars have featured in pop videos and stole the show.
Plus, how to attract the next generation of classic car lovers. I'm down with the kids to see how we can pass on our old metal to a generation that's mainly staring at glass.
Also, I've been driving through France and I've got a question. Where are all the French classic cars? On every route, I was hoping to see a gorgeous DS, but all I saw was modern BS.
All that, plus we ask what car smell makes you think of the Med, we hear word from a far-flung listener, and we find out what modern car sounds just like a fruit machine. It's all in episode 56 of The Tyre Kickers.
Driving and arguing since 2024. This is The Tyre Kickers.
So, ever since the dawn of MTV all the way back in the 1980s, sticking a car in a music video as a prop has been a thing.
I mean, it usually meant the director had no idea of what to do. However, lots of those cars in pop have become much more memorable than the video, so we thought we'd see how many we can actually recall.
Yeah, so let's talk about some famous wheels in pop video history. Now, we did want to use the music for these, as we mentioned them, thought it was actually sort of illustrated a bit better, but due to tedious reasons of copyright, Max, in podcasts, we can't. What are we doing instead? People just have to imagine the songs, and as we describe them, I guess. What have you got anyway? Let's talk the cars first and describe the videos they're in.
Do you want to sing the song? Would that help?
I thought, hum the song, do the theme tune, something like that. We just have to imagine it.
Now, I'm always thinking about Rolls Royces, as you know. More on that later. But first of all, do you remember Elton John's 1983 hit, I'm Still Standing, Dead? The one with Bruno Tonioli in the
Yes.
video, you know, the bloke from Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah, it's like a South of France video, very, very bright, and there was the Rolls-Royce Corniche, wasn't it? And him
It was
in
cool,
glasses.
wasn't it? I mean,
Did
you know,
he
in
stand up in it or
1983 Britain, seeing the South of France was quite exciting, and it was that lovely Corniche. I had a good look at the video, because it's only in a couple of frames. I thought it was a Rolls-Royce. Now, after a lot of investigation, I think it's a right-hand drive Bentley Corniche convertible. It's a silver one, early one, with a tan hood. From the hubcaps, I did freeze the video. From the hubcaps.
Whoa. So let's run this, slow that down and play that back in. You've worked out what car it is due to what?
The hubcaps. The Rolls Corniche and the Bentley Corniche are quite similar, apart from obviously the mascots on the radiator. I couldn't see those. I could see the hubcaps, and I think
you've been
it's
going
a
backwards
Bentley
and forwards
Corniche.
on YouTube, have you? With the remote control, going, no, pause it. Oh, no, back a frame. Oh, it's that. No, there's a Bentley
It's a
hubcap.
And it said B on it. That's why I kind of got the Bentley thing.
Did he own? Was it his car in the video?
Well, I think it was. Bentley didn't make many Corniche convertibles. I think 39 between 71 and 80. Now, Elton did own a few Bentley Corniches. Bonham sold his 1985 red Bentley Corniche, which was also used in the Nikita video. See, he's got form on this. The Nikita video, his registration was B120WYM. I think that was a fake registration, because when he sold it with Bonham's, it had the reg B20ELT. ELT for ELT. Bonham's also sold his blue 75 Bentley Corniche. So obviously likes Bentley Series 1 Corniches. So I think that's definitely Bentley Series 1 Corniche in I'm Still Standing. I would recommend you have a look at the video, partly because it's a good song, it's a good video, but see if you can spot the hubcaps.
Yeah, I think the fact it was only in a few frames makes me think that it probably wasn't part of the original storyboard and was shoved in, and probably he'd driven to the shoot, and then they'd gone, okay, well, can we do something with the car? Can we borrow your car? Because as we'll go on to talk about in some of these other videos, that they're much more, the car was the video, wasn't it? But this one, it sounds like maybe it's just, he's rocked up, can we borrow the car? Yeah, go on then. Wheel it in.
Well, I'm guessing, he used to tool around in Rolls Royces all the time. So you're right. And also, because it's in the south of France and it's a right-hand drive, it would make sense that he kind of drove down to it and just featured the video in it because he was sitting in his car. So he just put it in the video. And it does look good, but you don't see much of it. But a very good video, that. And because it's the south of France, it's just got that sort of early 80s pop video glamour.
Thing that I thought of first of all when we started talking about this is the Rover SD1 in the Human League video. 1981, Don't You Want Me? Let's play a clip. Oh, no, we can't play a clip. But just imagine it.
Everybody knows what that song is, doesn't it?
I mean, you were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar when I first met you. And look at you now. So now you're talking about Rolls Royces, but you're not talking about Rolls Royces. In this one, we've got to talk about a Rover SD1. And that was quite, for our generation, I think it was quite a memorable car in a video, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was quite glamorous then. I was looking closely at that car, going back to forwards on the video. I think it's a Rover 2600 SD1, not the 3500 V8. Now, the registration on the video was GCK 68M. Now, M is a 74 reg, but 2600 SD1s were made from 77 to 86 in various S and SE and Van der Plas specs. So if you want to look at the video, 44 seconds in, exactly, I think there's a 2600 badge on the rear. And at 1 minute 43, the badge is slightly out of focus. Again, I think it's a 2600. There's more clues on that SD1. It's got chrome door mirror covers. Now, SD1s had black door mirror covers up until 1981, and then there was a facelift in 81, and they got the chrome door mirror covers and they got chrome wheels on the S. So I think that SD1 is actually a 1981 car in a 1981 video. It's a brand new one, I think, is what I'm saying. I had a good look at that video. I can't see whether it's manual or automatic because the doors open briefly, but it does look really good. I mean, in that video, there's lots of smoke around. It doesn't really make sense. There's no beginning, middle, and end. It's just a load of kind of cool shots thrown together. But in the background, there's also a very good car. There's a Saab 99 Turbo. IMDb says it was a 1978 99 Turbo. And that 99 Turbo was in production until 84. So it would be about right. So two really interesting cars in that video.
Blimey, every day's a school day. I've learned quite a bit there.
Well, I think we need to do a feature on the SD1. It's such an interesting car. That 2600 straight-six twin carb came from a Triumph unit. It was almost as fast as the V8, but had better fuel economy. Plus, there was an option of a 5-speed manual. Now, do you want to relive your Human League years? If you do, look on your screen now, because here's a 1982 Rover SD1 Gold Automatic. And, to be honest, it doesn't look quite as glamorous, does it? It's got the wrong wheels, the velour is a bit faded, and it doesn't look quite as good without surrounded by that kind of like nighttime pop smoke.
It is evocative of the time, but as you say, it's not... In that video, it's very cinematic. In real life, a Rover SD1 isn't very cinematic, is it really?
No, I mean, this is a 1982 2600S, so it's actually, I've found exactly the same spec. But no, it doesn't look quite right, does it? It does have the chrome door mirrors, though, if you look at it, but it's got some aftermarket wheels. I love SD1s. I'd always have the 3500 V8 because it's the most interesting one. But the 2600 is a good driving car.
Fun fact for you, the car actually on screen looks like it was being driven, but it wasn't. The person who was supposed to be driving it, Joe Callis, band member Joe Callis, was supposed to be driving, but she didn't know how to drive. So the production crew had to push the car from behind while she simply pretended to steer. So it was all fake, Max.
It's also a really weird video. If you watch it from the beginning to the end, there's a hint of a storyline, then it cuts to the kind of editing room of the video storyline. Then it goes back to the location. Then you kind of get a strange mix of characters. I don't have a clue what goes on, and also it's got nothing to do with the lyrics, but it is a really, really cool video. And I do remember at the time watching that and I thinking, oh, that's like really top end, isn't it? It just looks a bit odd now, but it's still a great video. It's definitely worth a watch.
Well, let's talk about a more chrome bumpered car in a video. And again, you're going to have to hum this. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Now, everybody knows that intro. Everybody knows the song, but do you remember the Austin Healey 3000 that was in it? And I think it was Roland Olazabal. Is that how you pronounce it? Olazabal?
I don't know, to be honest.
Roland. He was driving.
I'm more interested in hubcaps.
He was driving it. Yeah, there was a US spec. There's a left hooker, wasn't it? 3000.
Yes.
What colour was that in?
That I think was a British racing green. They put those kind of filters on the camera, so you couldn't quite tell. But I think in that video, the car is really the star because again, they ran out of ideas. It looked cool. They drove around. You know, in the 80s, there was that kind of 60s throwback feeling.
Yeah.
And it did have that kind of 60s feel, particularly with a Healey in. But then halfway through in the video, they suddenly go gliding and start shooting pictures of a glider. And then they go kind of like quad bike racing. And then you cut back to the Healey. So it is a bit of it's an odd video. But you do get some really good shots of that Healy. And it looks great in America. You know, Healys did really well in the States. It's going along a kind of 3 or 4 lane freeway. It just looks fantastic.
Well, I wonder what the thinking was. Were these storyboarded out, these videos? It must have been, because there must be money thrown in it. But it seems like the idea is, right, we'll drive the car for a bit and then we'll go hang gliding and then we'll do this and do that. I mean, it's like what crazy stuff can we do that runs up the expenses bill? But there must have been a story thread to it, or was it just visuals? Was it just what looks cool on screen?
I think it was just about looking cool, because that particular video has nothing to do with the lyrics. If you listen to the lyrics, they're completely different to somebody driving a Healy on a Californian highway. So I think it was just about throwing some nice looking pictures at the screen and hoping that would boost the record sales.
Also, a lot of these bands were trying to either break the States or make it more in the States. So I guess if you put some stuff on a left-hand drive car on an American freeway, it kind of just plays into that MTV. And we talked about the very start of this. This was for MTV, wasn't it? And everything suddenly had to become very visual and very instantly recognizable to an American market, which was the main MTV market.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, because they did want to sell in America. It's no point turning up on Top of the Pops and looking a bit hungover and swaying and bad lip syncing. I think they just wanted to sell records, and in the biggest market, and that is the States. So why not just get a Healy, drive around California and just flog your record?
Well, yeah, because if you're driving an Austin Allegro around sort of Doncaster...
Which would be great, wouldn't it?
Welcome to my life. You know, it's like, oh no, thanks, mate. I've seen your life.
Have you got a warrant? Zybarted.
What about we're talking Americans, what about American videos? ZZ Top had a famous car in, didn't they?
Oh yeah, the Eliminator. When I watched this video, this song was in my head for days and days and days. Gimme All Your Loving. I mean, what a great video, a great song. That was a chopped 1933 Ford 3-window coupe. Now, it's on the cover of the 83 album Eliminator, and that really kind of brought hot rodding back to the MTV generation.
Yeah.
Billy Gibbons from the band worked with George Barris, who made the Batmobile, and the car had a 350 horsepower Chevy V8. It was lowered, had lights from a slightly later Ford, custom metal flake candy apple red with flames. I mean, those flames along the side are fantastic. Chop top, 15-inch wire wheels, velour seats, and it had a custom hydraulic system for spinning the rear wheels while stationary. I'm not quite sure how they did that, because how would you put drive to the rear wheels and not make it go forward unless it just lifted it or put the front brakes on? I don't know. But it made a kind of like ZZ Top 80s icon, and it still appears at some of their shows. I think Billy Gibbons has still got it. But what a fantastic car that is, and what a fantastic pop video, because it has a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's kind of about what the song's about. So I recommend you go and have a look at Gimme All Your Loving on YouTube, because it is a great, great song.
We mentioned more mundane cars in mundane British surroundings, but for some songs of the 80s, that played to their strengths. I'm thinking of The Specials and Ghost Town. Now, if you remember that video for Ghost Town, you remember the song. The video is them all driving in an old car in a tunnel. And the car in question was a Vauxhall Cresta from the 1960s. And the tunnel in question was sort of near where I used to live, like in the 90s, the Rotherhithe Tunnel, which, if you've ever driven down, is very narrow and twisty. You must have had to go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. But that was such a moody video, wasn't it? And that car kind of suited it.
It's a really good video, that, isn't it? And again, it's another good song. And actually, the car was sort of central to that video, and they're all crammed in the car singing. And they've got some really nice shots of the lights of the tunnel reflecting on the windscreen. And they had to do that by suckering a camera onto the bonnet of the Vauxhall Cresta, which then fell off and damaged the bonnet and really annoyed the owner. So he was absolutely furious. And also, I think partly because all of them were crammed into that car when they were filming it, they split up pretty soon after. I don't know whether they had a bad pop video filming experience, crammed in a car for a couple of days, but they didn't last long after that. But another good song and a really good video as well. That car, by the way, is in the Coventry Music Museum if you want to see it. I had a quick look at 4218RO, the registration number, and it's not active anymore. It is listed as a Vauxhall Cresta, but it's no MOT history. So hopefully when the Specials did film, they had a live MOT.
Let's talk about some other honourable mentions as well. I'm thinking about Prince. There was a bright yellow BMW 8 Series in one of his tracks.
Sexy MF.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And then in Kylie's, there was quite a lot of Kylie stuff, wasn't there? Can't get you out of my head. What was that in that?
Di Tommaso. I think it was a Mangusta. She didn't actually, it was actually just green screen. She didn't drive it. She was just sitting in it and the kind of scenery flew past her.
But it's very iconic, isn't it?
Really, yeah, really good. Looks great on the video. Jamiroquai uses lots of cars. In Cosmic Girl, he used a Lamborghini Diablo, Nick Mason's Ferrari F40, and a Ferrari F355 Berlinetta. I mean, there's less story in that. It's just him driving around the kind of roads of California, handbrake turning, I think. So less of a kind of pop video, more of just him showing off.
Next, get out of my dreams and get into my car. That's not an invitation for you, by the way. That's a Billy Ocean song.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Just get out. Just get out.
Some old bloke turns up saying, get into my car. Yeah, forget it.
Extra some sweets. So yeah, there was a Porsche in that, wasn't there? In that video.
Yeah, a 90. I can't remember what year it is. I think it's a 930 turbo, so it's got to be kind of early 80s, mid 80s, 911 turbo cabrio in white in that video. That's quite good. Actually, another good song I found, which I'd forgotten about completely, is Sheryl Crow's Steve McQueen. And guess what the video is about? Steve McQueen. And it's all his cars. So there's a Porsche 356 Speedster, the Bullitt Mustang, which has lots of really good references to that film, including overtaking the Green Beetle about 5 times. And they've got the Ford GT40, a reference to Le Mans. So that's a good song and actually a really good, funny video.
It makes you think. You forget just how many influential videos were made influential by the cars that they're in. So that's just a few. If you think of any more that we've missed, do drop us a line and let us know. We'll put a post up on the socials. You can get in touch the normal way. But there is one that I'm thinking of while you've been talking. Right. We're talking about cars, driving in your car, that sort of stuff. What was the iconic car video of the 1980s? And it was madness, driving in my car, featuring your favorite car of all time, the Morris Minor.
Do you know, I hate madness and I hate the Morris Minor. And I don't know which I hate the most, actually. Probably putting them together just actually cements my hatred.
So it's episode 56 of the Tire Kickers, and Max and I have been away for a few weeks on separate holidays to get away from each other.
Yeah, we needed to be honest, just a break from you, please.
It was agreed, different countries even. You went to French France and I went to Almeria in southern Spain. You drove, I flew, and I got a hire car. I got an MG hire car, which initially when they gave me the keys, I was like, oh, because it's a bit of a travesty, isn't it, using that name? But you know what? It's actually, I hate to say it, but it's actually really good. It was like MG, the people behind MG had taken apart a VW Polo and then copied it and put it back together. Nothing squeaked, nothing rattled. But as we've talked about on this show, new cars, all that bonging that's going on. God. Every time I did something I shouldn't have, it was honestly sounded like a fruit machine.
Was it tugging the wheel at you as well?
It was tugging the wheel, but it was just the noises. It was like I got 2 nudges and 3 cherries in a row. It's like, shut up, stop being at me. And in Spain, they tend to drive just slightly over the limit. So if you're not driving over the limit, they're up your bum. So, the car was like having a go at me. The drivers are trying to push me forward. So very, very annoying. But yeah, and the heating controls again. Let's not get into that. But tap, tap, tap on the screen. But I saw some classics on the back roads. I saw a grade 2 CV, which I got quite excited about when I saw it in the rearview mirror. But I did lose him going up a hill.
It's not easy to lose a 2CV, is it? Even with modern safety stuff trying to slow you down.
That's right. With all that stuff trying to slow me down, keep me in my lane, I thought, oh, that's right. I'll slow it down and he'll come up on me. And then I went up a hill and I lost him and never saw him again. And also saw a Citroen Diane. I don't know what it is about old Citroens, but there was one parked up on the curb in a village. And that just looked cool as well. I just thought, that'd be fun to rag around, a bit on the back roads. But I also got a memory. I was down on the coast and an old 70s Fiat came past, like a Fiat Saloon, a bit like the one they sort of had in the Italian Job, the police car,
okay.
that kind of look. And I got a smell when the car came past. I then got that hot petrol smell that you used to get all the time in the Med, southern Spain, southern France in the summer. When it's really hot street, car comes past and you get that kind of waft of hot petrol.
Oh yeah, that unburnt petrol running through a carb car, that kind of then bouncing off onto a hot tarmac.
And it's that sense, that memory sense thing. It flashed me back to sort of the 80s, the 90s, because you got that smell until probably the late 90s, didn't you? When the catalytic converters came in and cars sort of changed. But that old carb smell, it just flashed me back to that memory. That smell is gone now, isn't it? Because petrol cars are quite clean smelling. They don't smell of petrol really anymore when they drive about. But yeah, it was that sort of, all it needed was some like Gauloise or something, smell of cigarette smoke and petrol. But that's what life was like, wasn't it? And it's gone.
Yeah, that was a really evocative smell. I know exactly what you mean, because it's the heat that you didn't get in Britain, and that unburnt fuel just was quite a heady mixture. And also all those carb cars of the kind of like 1970s on holiday. They're always running around. They didn't really go that quickly, did they? They were going up and down through towns and ticking over, and it just didn't make it made a kind of natural smell that you automatically associate. A bit like getting off a plane in America. There's a kind of smell of American cars that you get straight away when you're going to New York, for example.
So those are the cars I saw in Spain. We alluded to it in the headlines of the show. You're moaning about being in France and not seeing any cars.
I'm furious. I'm absolutely furious because
God,
I did a
which is
driving
strange.
holiday from the UK all the way down to Provence in the south of France, and I was hoping to see some good French classics, and I didn't see a single one. Now, where are all the French classics? I know they're for sale because if you look at the kind of various websites, you can see French classic cars for sale, but they just don't seem to be driven. And this isn't, I know what you're going to say, well, you're on the motorways all the time. I wasn't. I kind of came off the motorways and I didn't see a single one. What was interesting, at the port in Portsmouth, I saw lots and lots of Brits in classic cars going over. There were loads of MGBs. There was some Spitfires. There was a Triumph GT6. There was a Stag in the queue that was overheating. I'm not kidding, with the bonnet up, waiting to get on the ferry. And when I was over there, I saw a UK MGA. It was 38 degrees. And he had the hood down in a white MGA and was driving through France. And I thought, congratulations, because I was sitting there in aircon going, it's too hot, it's too hot. But it was really bizarre. And the only other thing is I saw loads of 2CVs for hire in France as kind of tourist cars, and they were all driven by Brits. So where are the French classic cars? What is it about classic cars that the French don't like? Because they've still got their own car industry. There's loads of Renaults and Citroens around, but no classics. Where have they gone?
Well, I don't know, because I always see them when I go to France. I think maybe it's just a timing thing. Perhaps it's, the wrong time of year, or perhaps you're driving on the weekdays. I mean, if you think about in Britain, you don't see that many classic cars during the week. It's only at the weekends you see them. It's only usually on the back roads you see them. And it's only
driving the weekends as well. 1,600 miles in France I did. Not a single French classic car.
But you were moaning all the way as well.
Absolutely.
Can't see a car. No, I always sort of see them. I mean, they do run their cars around. I mean, you always see old Renault 4s and 2CVs and old Peugeots and that sort of stuff. I think you just were unlucky or just looking the wrong way. It's like when you point to your kids, look at that cow. And you go, what? What is it?
I want to see, when I'm traveling in France, I want to see the French come out on the roads with their classic cars and sort of clap me past as I come past to say, look, monsieur, here are our classic cars.
They won't be clapping. They'll be doing that thing with the arm.
The Tyre Kickers, classic car chat with Max and Matt.
Well, yeah, as we said, it's been a few weeks, and I'm sure while you were away in France and in between that time as well, you've wasted more time looking at yet more Silver Shadows. Yes, am I right?
I even had a Silver Shadow inspected while I was on holiday. I wasn't even there for the inspection and sent an inspector around to have a look at it, and it was necessarily...
And his spectacles.
and it was quite bad. I've looked at 5 in total now, and I've decided that I'm in a kind of wrong area because I'm looking at Silver Shadows for less than £25,000, and they're all rubbish. I mean, I've seen 5. I drove one just before I went away on holiday, a really tatty Shadow 2, and I pulled up and I didn't even stop the car and I had a look at it, and I was about to drive on, and then the salesman came out and made conversation, so I had to stop. So I did a test drive. I kind of went, yeah, all right. It smelt of damp. It misfired. It pulled to the left. There was a really strong smell of burning after the test drive. The electric seats didn't work. The aircon didn't work. It had lots of history, apparently, that had got lost, so it didn't have any history. And it just was just wrong. The coach lines looked like they'd been painted by a brush. And it's just one of those things that I looked at it and thought, I've kind of had enough of looking at tatty shadows. I think you either got to really buy a cheap one and accept there's lots of work, which is really expensive now, or you've got to buy a super expensive one at the top end. I don't think there's that middle ground. And that one I had inspected when I was on holiday. I'd seen it at auction, bizarrely, a few weeks before. Hadn't bought it, missed it. Thank goodness, because it looked nice on the surface, but the inspector came back with 2 pages of faults, including just bizarre faults, and a very good point that he said that shadows always go on the seat squabs. The seat bases collapse after about 60,000 miles. So usually people swap the seat bases from the driver to the passenger side, and then you get a kind of fresh seat squab for another 60,000 miles. This car had had 30,000 miles on it, from new apparently, but both seat squabs on the passenger and driver side were soft. So it'd probably done more like, 230,000.
I have this recurring dream that I'm stuck in a Silver Shadow and all the locks go down like that, boom, and then suddenly I'm in the back seat and you're in the front just talking like this. I
It's not
can't
a
get
dream.
out.
It's reality.
Oh no! I've told you, you just need to buy one and accept how it is and just run it and enjoy it. I mean,
I can't accept a
should have
tatty
bought.
shadow because
Well,
they
you
just
could-
look sad.
You should have bought that gold one I saw at the historics auction.
I
That was
can't buy a
20
gold
grand.
one as well.
It was in good condition. It looked all right. Walking around it, nobody would have said any more. Inside was nice, and you could have done some weddings.
Don't. The trouble, you're not the only person who said that. The trouble with this is that it's so expensive to get work done on them at the moment. So buying a cheap one is just not really a sensible thing to do. And also, I've been taking quite a long time on this. I don't know whether you've noticed, because I'd forgotten how long I'd been looking. And then my annual subscription came up for the Rolls-Royce Enthusiast Club. And I remember joining when I started this hunt. So I've been looking for a year.
Going through all of this, it does make you realise that the reason you don't see that many at car shows, because you're talking about buying a car between like 10 and 20,000, which is the sort of sweet spot for a lot of classics. A lot of people,
I thought, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people turn up in classics at car shows in that sort of price range. But you don't see a lot of Rolls Royces, and this is probably precisely for these reasons, because the ones that are that sort of price, people are scared to take them on. If you take on something like an MGB or a TR6 or something, it's manageable cost-wise, where people don't want to take on these big bulks of cars that are going to potentially bite them really hard. So, yeah, maybe that's why there's not much love for Silver Shadows, because on paper, they look like great buys. For all the reasons we've talked about, you can get 4 up in them. I've driven one in an earlier bonus episode, and, you do get that feeling that you don't get in another car at all. But, they are just expensive old birds to keep on the road, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? I don't want to buy one cheaply and then spend a load of money keeping it going, and it still looks a bit rough. So I might have to kind of rethink this search, I think. I'm not quite sure where I'm going at the moment with it.
So while Max thinks more about Rolls-Royce Silver Shadows, a couple of you have been in touch since the last studio show. It's been a while since we sat and talked like this, hasn't it? I mean,
it's been a relief, to be honest. It's been really nice, and now we've come back and I've had to listen to you all over again, and it's like, oh God, here we go again.
We got some good feedback after the pub chat episode. Do you know what? I really enjoyed doing that. Not just because it was in a pub, but it was quite nice to do some just quick fire questions, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was interesting. And I did find out a bit more about you, which is not always welcome. But it was nice to do it in the sunshine as well, actually. That was really good. So we should do more of those, actually. We should take the show on the road or take it outside. Do you remember when school lessons went outside in the summer, and it was just a bit more exciting, wasn't it, to learn history when you could look at things going on, not just the classroom.
Now, one of the popular trends is to do Q&A, listener Q&As. You up for that? Would you, if people wrote in?
Yeah. We'd have to get some people to write in first, though, and normally it's kind of slightly abusive or rude, so it'd have to be polite.
We'll see. We can filter some of the requests. Some of them are going to be, when is he going to shut up talking about Rolls-Royce Silver Shadows? That would be my question.
Nobody will ever want that. They just want more of it. More Silver Shadows, please.
I'll plant that. But after the pub chat episode, we got a note on Spotify from a listener in a very far-flung place. It was Will Youngman, and he said, "Gents, I'm putting my hands up. I'm your Taipei listener." I think we must have name-checked it last time. Thank you for the shout-out a few episodes ago. Hilarious show, he says. That was the one you went on, Max.
What did I say that was funny? Because it can't be Matt.
He said, "I laughed so much, I got really strange looks on the Taipei Underground. As it's summer, hope you do more pub chats." Well, I think we should. But thank you for listening over there. I mean, we do wonder actually sometimes when some of you are listening in far-flung places what your story is. And we've had a couple of things. We'll get some in future episodes of people who are out in different parts of the world that look slightly unusual on our stats and the stories of why they're there. But we're glad that you've got this to kind of listen to. If it brings a bit of sort of joy into your week, then happy days. We're really, really glad you're listening along. Lots of people commenting on our posts as well recently. Thank you for getting involved in that. We do see them all, or even if we don't read them all out. There was a TV show that used to say that, didn't they? We do read all your comments.
Tiz was.
Oh, was it Tiz was? Yeah.
Oh, no, was it Tony Hart? Tony Hart used to say that on Heart.
Yeah, Tony Hart, yeah.
It wasn't Heart to Heart. What was that show
called?
called?
It was, what was it called?
It wasn't Heart Attack, was it? That was the other one. That was the ITV one.
No, I have to Google that. Hold on a minute. Tony Hart. Can you just
I'll read some other stuff out while you Google that. Okay, we've had another 5-star review on Apple Podcasts too. Thank you, from new listener Rusty Wreck. He says the podcast is a great listen and he likes how we have different opinions on cars. One of us is right and one of us is wrong. Often he says he sees both opinions. Great work. Keep it up.
It was Take Heart.
Oh, Take Heart. That's right. That was brilliant, wasn't it?
with Morph, and you do remind me of Morph a little bit. I think the reference was to do with the gallery, wasn't it? They used to have the gallery, the Take
That's
Time
right. Well
gallery,
done, yeah.
and we do see all your pictures, but we don't put them all up. That's probably what it was. Talking of sort of previous shows and stuff, lots of clips have gone up on our socials recently. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're talking about stuff like rambling about stuff as wide ranging as about modding classics over originality, because I think that's okay. He doesn't.
Oh, wrong.
Picking up junk from car shows, and also talking about this ridiculous conversation Max and I had, whether that he claims that if his car was being exhibited at a fancy car show, he wouldn't wash it. I mean,
I
that's
wouldn't.
just absolutely. Of course you would.
I wouldn't. I like cars that have been used, and I like dirty cars that look like they've been driven fast across a continent.
Well, those clips are on our Instagram at the Tyre Kickers UK, also on our Facebook page as well. The Tyre Kickers, 3 separate words. If you've been telling a mate about the show and you want to give them an example of the sort of nonsense that we talk, do sort of forward one of those clips onto them and share that clip, and they'll be appreciated. Hopefully, it will explain what the hell you're on about to them. And we also hit kind of a momentous listener figure target thing, didn't we, as well?
60,000 downloads. Now, 60,000 of you have been daft enough to download this show and listen to it. So thank you very much, because that's quite a lot for, a podcast about something which isn't really that mainstream, is it? Two blokes talking about classic cars?
Well, it's also quite a lot for an audio podcast, because, lots of people scroll reels and watch a bit of YouTube, but it takes a bit more commitment, doesn't it, to hit play and then listen to a podcast episode, an audio podcast for a good 40 minutes or so. It's a real commitment to do that. So thank you for listening. Lots of you talk about listening to this while you're doing other things as well. So it's always interesting to know where you are and what you're doing. Well done for getting through it, because you feel my pain now, having to listen to very detailed information about Vauxhall Crestas.
They're probably going slowly mad. That's what they're doing while listening to it.
That's true. But no, thank you for listening. Keep it up. Drop us a line. Keep in touch. Thank you for all the comments as well on the social posts. We do like the interaction. We love the banter. We love seeing where you are. We like your opinions as well. So if you want to know where to find our socials, here's how.
You can find us at the Tyre Kickers UK on Instagram and the Tyre Kickers on Facebook.
You're listening to the Tyre Kickers. Now, at some point, Matt and I will get old and shuffle off to a nursing home. Our car keys will be taken off us, and we'll be left driving mobility scooters or maybe a stair lift. But who will we leave behind to keep this great classic car hobby going? Is there a new generation of classic car fans coming up behind us to keep the spark plugs burning?
Yeah, it is a bit of a worry, isn't it, this? Because especially for the older chrome classic cars, less kids are into cars. And if they are into cars, it's usually supercars. And that's just for the aspirational side of it, not even driving it, really. And they're seeing them not in real life, but on a screen. The reason Max and I are talking about this is that recently I went to a classic car meet for people under 30. Now, it was organised by a traditional newspaper, if you like, trade paper, Classic Car Weekly. But the word actually spread on socials. So let's play a couple of clips of some of the guys there. Here's Will first up. He's 25 and he drives a 1985 Mini.
I think it's just exposure, really. Today I didn't know this was going on until I saw it come up on my feed. So if it wasn't for TikTok, I wouldn't be here today. So there's pros and cons. You've just got to balance it. But again, it's just about exposure, getting in front of the people. And currently that's where it is. It's digital. But if you can take it from the digital world to the real world like we are today, I don't see why they won't come back.
So that's Will with his Mini. Kira is another person I spoke to. She's a Gen Z who realised classic cars are fun. She's nearly 21, but she drives a car 20 years old. It's a convertible, a Daihatsu one she found, and she found it on TikTok.
So I was looking for first cars, didn't know what I wanted, and then this came up and it was someone saying, this is the ideal first car for a 19-year-old, and I was like, wow, that's a really nice car. I absolutely loved it. I started researching it and I was like, that's what I want.
Now, Max, both of those guys mentioned social media as being where they got their info from. I think that's really, really crucial. And both talked about, like you were saying, the digital detox thing, the analog experience of owning and driving a car. And you know what? I think that's where the future lies. I think that's how you get people to like it. You talk about, you show the road trips and the engagement of driving a car, because there's nothing quite like driving a classic car, is there? And I think it's just a case that it's sold in a very, very old-fashioned way through print media, through car meets, through old blokes talking about driving cars. If you make it a bit more real-based and a bit more sort of sexy and a bit more cinematic and a bit more relevant, that's the way you push it. What do you think?
Well, I also, when you think about your classic car is a kind of detox in itself. So it is that kind of escape you get from it. it's not really any point, apart from when you break down, you need a phone. But it's not really any point having a mobile phone in a car, is it? So I think that's a way you could actually sell it as a kind of box that's a mobile-free zone. It's a screen-free zone. There's no screens to look at. You are engaging. And unless you're looking at a screen, you might actually be looking out through the windscreen and seeing what's coming at you. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of escaping that digital community and you're getting out and you're having a real experience.
I think there's a couple of things we've got to be aware of here, though, that have changed. I mean, you and I still get subscriptions to classic car magazines. And I've got to admit, I open them and go, oh, I must read that, and then never read it because you're glued to your screen. The other thing that you and I do is watch a lot of YouTube videos. But here's the thing, long-form YouTube videos, do you know who they're popular with? They're popular with our age and older. They're not actually popular with younger people. They're watching reels and stuff like that. So I think there's a real challenge for classic car magazines and traditional media that they're barking up the wrong tree. They're talking to a demographic that's dying off. They need to keep their thing going. They need to get on, more socials. They need to put more reels on Instagram, TikTok. I mean, reels are the thing at the moment. Reels are the thing that are getting screen views. Everybody's doom scrolling. But it needs that more short form content, and it needs to be less reviews about cars and more about what the experience, can take them. I'm seeing in my head basically a sunset and a Triumph Spitfire driving through it, and a couple of kids talking about the fantastic journey they went on, and my God, this car's really fun to work and that sort of stuff. That's what sells it. And I think just reviewing cars on YouTube or reviewing cars in classic car magazines and talking about the old days, I don't think that's a strong enough sell.
And I think also the things you can do with cars. I mentioned a road trip. A classic car road trip is fantastic, particularly if you do it with somebody else, because you've got a shared experience about, are we going to get there? There's no doubt your electric car will get there and it will probably drive itself and park itself. You're not even involved in the journey then, are you? You're just passengers, literally. But actually with a classic car, you're driving it there. Will it get there? How will I get there? Is it going to overheat? Is it going to cool down? Will it stop? Will it start? That's part of the fun. And I think people see that with classic cars as a drawback. Oh, you're going to break down. Oh, it's going to be noisy. Yeah, but that's also why we do it, because there's a bit of jeopardy. There's a bit of fun. You've got to be interested in it and you've got to engage with it. And I think that's what we can sell classic cars as something you can engage at. You can switch off your screens and enjoy something tactile that you can get involved in. And it'll take you places and you'll meet people like you and I meet hundreds of people in this great classic car hobby. It'll take you and you'll meet interesting people.
Yeah, and that's a strong sell for young people because they want to be part of something. So that's a strong sell. But I think the nub of this is, and the really interesting thing is how they both the guys that we spoke to there talked about exposure. You just need to expose it more to that generation. And here's the thing: they're not seeing classic cars. They're not looking for them. They're not going to shows. They're not reading magazines. So how do we expose them to that? Because I think once you do expose that, you either fall for, like me, you fall for the prettiness of the car and the design and the things you can do with it, or you fall more of the sort of the engineering side, like you enjoy. You kind of that originality, that what's under the bonnet, how it all works, that sort of stuff. So you can fall in that, but at the moment, I just think there's this world of classic cars that we exist in that if you're under 30, you just don't even see. It's not on your radar because you're not watching traditional TV. You're not reading magazines, and you're not looking in the places that we look at cars, and you're not going to classic car shows. So I think the opportunity that the classic car scene needs to grasp, and it's really important they do, to be honest, because otherwise all these old cars are just going to get forgotten about. The people who want to put a Triumph Stag in their garage and a Mercedes SL, actually the SL is a good point actually, because I think that is one car that's crossed over, because I think young people do get that, and if you go onto Instagram, you do see cool young people driving SLs around because they've sort
like
of
me.
No, despite you, these are not old gits in Panama hats. I think, but I honestly, when I know sometimes we're flippant on the show, but I think it's going to be really, really important in the coming years that classic car media certainly gets onto online digital media and just pushes stuff, and they're going to have to do it in a different way. They can't do the same old thing. People, Generation Z isn't interested in the main in fixing old cars, but they're interested in the experience of it and the digital detox of it. The other thing as well is the economics. We should mention that. When you and I were, picking up old cars and driving them around, insurance was cheap, wasn't it?
It was.
What were you paying on that Jag E-Type back in the 90s? Probably £100 or something. A couple hundred.
I was cheating slightly because it was on my dad's motor traders policy, which is why I could get away with driving so much stuff.
You said you were a vicar. He only drove 1,000 miles. But
So I kind of cheated, but I mean, even now, classic car insurance for younger drivers is relatively cheap on a limited mileage policy. So you still can get away with it. You know, it's going to be a lot. A friend of mine's son got a Mazda MX-5, which was quite expensive to insure, but I think a classic car might have been cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we've got insurance is so expensive, but you know, we used to get away with like third party, didn't we? You know, even fire and theft, and you know, I'm not bothered if it catches fire. I just want the cheapest insurance.
Nobody was going to nick it because it was too rubbish.
There is all of that, but I think it's the reality is most people under 30 are not interested in the mechanics of a car, but you can sell them on the aesthetics, and that's the way to do it. But you've got to put it right in front of them, put it on TikTok, put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook Reels, make it really in their face, and make it really appealing and make them want to do it. And that is the future, I think.
And also, I think every time I show my mates' kids my car, they want to have a picture of them sitting in it, and on Instagram, because it does look different. So I think we can kind of sell it as a lifestyle as well. And also, anybody who's ever interested in cars, I'll talk to them. I'll bore them to death, and then they can start to take up the hobby and bore other people as well.
When they ask for the picture, do they ask you to get out of it? Excuse me, mate, could you just...
Oh, yeah. Get the old bloke out. What do you want him in for?
If you want to hear more on this, by the way, scroll back to the episode just before this one, and you'll hear more from the people that we spoke to. And the meet I went to, it was near Birmingham. It was organised by Classic Car Weekly, who are keen really to do all this sort of stuff. We talk about how and why the young people who are on that do what they do and why they do it. It's a really interesting listen, and it's given us something to talk about here as well. Go and find it, scroll back, and let us know what you think.
Think they're right or think they're wrong? Shoot us a note on our socials and let us know. We're at The Tyre Kickers UK on Insta and The Tyre Kickers on Facebook.
Well, that's it for this episode. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope, unlike Max, you don't bother rewinding videos to look at Rover SD1 wing mirrors and wheel trims.
And apologies to our French listeners who might love classic cars. Please get in touch and tell us what you drive.
Now, coming up next time, we're at the Footman James Coffee and Chrome Meet at Prescott Hill Climb. That's on Sunday, June the 21st, and there's a special report coming from that show, and maybe some special news about us.
Oh, right. Are we going on holiday together?
You must be joking. See you next time.
Bye.
Did you see my on-the-fly ad-lib there?
No, I didn't actually.
No, you weren't even listening.
I was only concentrating on my bits.
Well, don't we know that's true?
Me.